Hey guys, on this field trip, taking you out on the Elk Refuge on an elk hunt. It's early in the morning, it's just right around 7 a.m. and up until the middle of December they give out a certain number of elk tags so that some of the elk coming onto the refuge can be harvested. It's still a tough hunt because there's so much land out here. But you turn in some of what you harvest so they can do some biological testing on the elk to make sure there's no diseases in the herd and stuff like that. So, but you get to keep the meat and feed your family. So the Tetons are right there. I parked down, I don't know if you can see or not, way down there about 20 minutes ago. I've hiked about a mile and climbed up on this ridge. I'm gonna wait a few more minutes because I'll get right up on top, and I'm hoping there's elk up on top, but we'll see. You never know. But it's really pretty here in the mornings because you can watch the sun come up behind me here and light up the Tetons, which are right there. My camera having a tough time focusing. But anyway, I'm carrying a sled to haul out meat with. It's a little bit easier when it's snowy, and we'll see how it goes. I'll film some more later. It's a pretty morning though, as the sun comes up here at the refuge. There he is. Trying to show you this bull elk. I think we just missed. Oh, there he is. He's right there in that little gap in the trees. There's a kind of a white dot against the trees, and it just went into the trees. There's the Tetons. Most of the elk refuge goes out that way, all the way to that corner where the white and the trees meet. That's Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Sun's starting to come up. Snow's a little bit deep where it's drifted, so I'm wearing gaiters. Keep the snow out of my boots. The sun's starting to come up. Really pretty. It was -1 degree. So it's below zero. I think it's warmed up just a bit, so it's probably about 4 or 5 degrees, I would guess right now. But I haven't seen any fresh tracks across the top here, so anyway. It's pretty out here. It's so quiet. I love watching the sun come up and light up the Tetons as the morning progresses, and all the elk around. Most of them are bulls. Most of the cows are crowded up in there, so I can only harvest a cow elk, a female elk. So my son got one right here, actually, right almost where we're standing. We were up there and saw them standing here, so we snuck down, popped up right by that tree, and he took one right there about 3 weeks ago. So that was his second elk. He's 14 years old, so kind of cool. Because the snow drifted yesterday, and a little snow, you can see my tracks all the way out. Probably come out about 1.5 miles. Hiked out here, pretty sunrise. Saw another hunter out on that ridge somewhere. And that bull elk came right up through here over the top. So, wish we could see the Tetons. They're right behind that ridge there. The sky's getting really pretty behind them with the sunrise. So I'm gonna hike up to the top of that ridge and just kind of work back and forth and see what happens. The sun's just coming up, or starting to. But the Tetons are lit up now. I got to the top of this ridge, so you can see. They're really pretty. So that's all. The Elk Refuge goes way out through that valley to the other side of those ridges and all the way down. All the way down to the end of that valley. And usually all the big herds are down there as winter starts getting deeper. And then just outside the refuge here on these hills, there's elk bedded. There's orange poles. I was going to show you one when I hiked in, but they kind of zigzag back and forth. And because the line isn't perfectly curved. And on that side of the orange poles, they're huge poles, is outside the refuge, and it's almost like the elk know. I stay just on this side of those poles, even though they're like 300 or 400 yards between each pole. There's not like a fence. They just kind of sense that if they stay on that side, they're all right during this hunting season, which ends this week. So. It's a pretty day. Those Tetons are beautiful. I love coming out here in the early morning and seeing them light up. One of the cool things about the refuge is that I believe 7,000 to 10,000 elk come in to this huge refuge out of the different mountain ranges around it every winter, and they winter over. They have this hunting harvest that helps them to kind of process, just probably, I'm guessing, maybe 100 elk or so get taken over the course of the 2-month hunt or something. Maybe it's more than that, I don't know. And they can do some biological testing on them to see if they have any diseases, because when you bring, one of the controversial things is when you bring a bunch of elk to a refuge, or not bring them, but once you create these refuges where they gather to, Some states don't like that because they say if one elk has a disease, it can pass it around to all the rest. So this elk harvest allows them to do some testing. But another thing they taught us last time I came was that they don't put out feed as long as the snow doesn't get too deep and there's enough grass. That way it keeps their instinct alive to push through the snow and feed for themselves. So the other day when I came out here in the morning in the dark and hiked in the snow, I was walking in fresh grizzly tracks. So it's kind of made me a little bit nervous. So I've got some, even though I have a rifle, I don't want to shoot a grizzly. You're not allowed to anyway, but I have some bear spray on my pack, so I can pull that out in case I needed it. But the grizzlies will come and roam the refuge and take some elk every year. And then there's a pack of wolves that are also on the refuge that they'll take a bunch of elk every year. So there's also buffalo that come in from the park, Teton Park, and I don't know if they come out of Yellowstone or not, but they'll come into the end of the refuge here. So my arm's getting tired holding this phone up. I'm hoping there's bighorn sheep on the way out, and I'll film some of that. But they have this cool hunt up here you can put in for all fall. So it's nice for me to slip up on Saturday mornings or whatever and get some hunting done. So here's a herd of, there's a little baby lamb. Herd of bighorns. I'm just standing on the road. It's a little baby. This is here at the Elk Refuge on the backside of Miller Butte here. There aren't any big rams in there. It looks like a bunch of young ones. There's a couple that are trying to fight a little bit. There's a little baby. They like to lick the salt on your truck, so you're supposed to keep moving. They're eating salt off the road. Kind of cool. So I'll try and come back maybe tomorrow and get some more footage of those. There's some big rams in here. Usually they're along the road, but I didn't see any. Just that small group of young ones. So try again tomorrow.